All right, let's dive right in. If you're running a shop, you know this industry changes in the blink of an eye. So today, we're going to tackle a huge question for your business. Should you get into ADAS calibration? We're going to give you the key info you need to make the right call.
I want to start with just a number, 54%. What do you think that is? I mean, really, take a guess. It's a number from a 2019 SEMA survey that honestly should make every single shop owner just stop and think for a second.
That's it. Over half of general auto repair shops said they just don't work on cars with ADAS. But here's the thing. Is that really true? Or are these systems rolling into your bays every single day and maybe you just don't realize the full scope of what's required? Before we go any further, let's make sure we're all on the same page here.
So ADAS, it stands for Advanced Driver Assistance Systems. We're talking about things like lane departure warnings, that adaptive cruise control that keeps you spaced from the car ahead, automatic emergency braking. They're basically the building blocks for the self-driving cars of the future, but they are absolutely here right now.
Now, what's so interesting is that even though ADAS feels like this brand new thing, it's actually been around for decades. Let's take a quick look at how this tech kind of simmered in the background before just exploding.
Believe it or not, the first ADAS system hit the US market way back in 1999. It was Mercedes' radar cruise control. And yeah, back in the early 2000s, it was a super high-end, you gotta pay extra luxury feature on just a handful of cars. But what started as a tiny trickle has turned into an absolute tidal wave.
And wow, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? Just look at the growth of one single feature, automatic emergency braking. In 2016, it was on just 9% of new cars. Fast forward to 2020, and it's on 84%. By 2023, thanks to a big agreement between automakers, it's going to be on pretty much every new car sold in the US. This is not a fad. It's the new standard.
So this technology explosion, what does it actually mean for your shop? Well, it's a classic two-sided coin. On one side, you've got this massive opportunity, but on the other, you've got a very, very serious obligation. First, let's talk opportunity. As of late 2019, there were already over 61.5 million ADAS-equipped vehicles on U.S. roads, and that number is just skyrocketing. This is a huge, largely untapped pool of service work. But, and this is a big but, with that opportunity comes a huge risk. And this gets us to the really serious part, liability. I mean, listen to this quote. There are now entire law firms that do nothing but ADAS litigation. If one of these safety systems fails because of a bad repair or a missed calibration, the consequences for a shop, well, they can be devastating. And here's the really scary part, the reality of the market right now. Some surveys are showing that more than 60% of vehicles that need a calibration after a collision are sent back out on the road without it being done right. That is a massive safety gap, and it's a clear signal for professional shops to step up and do it correctly.
Okay, so if you're even thinking about getting into this, you've got to understand the two main ways calibrations are done. It really breaks down into two types, static and dynamic. Static calibration is what you do right there in your service bay. It's a really controlled process with a scan tool and these very precise physical targets. Dynamic calibration, though, that's where you actually have to get in the car and drive it with a scan tool plugged in, following a very specific routine. And that's where things can get tricky.
Yeah. A dynamic calibration isn't just a quick spin around the block. You need perfect, clear lane markings. You can't do it in the rain or fog or snow. You have to hit specific speeds. And trying to do that in heavy traffic? Forget it. So for shops in big cities or anywhere up north, this can be a real nightmare. And you have to remember, you can't just hand the keys back to a customer with an uncalibrated car and say, hey, come back when it's sunny. Now what?
So you see the opportunity, you get the basics. What's the price of admission? What do you really need to get started? It really comes down to 4 pillars. You absolutely need a capable scan tool, a calibration frame to hold the targets, the right targets and patterns for every make and model, and, this is a big one, access to up-to-date service information. But guess what? The equipment, that's only half the battle. This is the question that so many shops just completely forget to ask. You can go out and buy the best, most expensive equipment on the planet. But if your shop's physical environment isn't right, you simply cannot do an accurate, safe calibration. Period. And these things are totally non-negotiable. You need a big, flat, level floor. We're talking some car makers specify it has to be within half an inch. You need bright, even light that you can control.
No windows or stray light behind the targets. The camera's view has to be completely free of clutter in the background. And for radar stuff, you can't have big metal toolboxes sitting nearby. So why all the fuss? Why is this so critical?
Well, it all comes down to this number. 1. Single degree.
Just 1 degree of misalignment in a forward-facing camera or radar. I mean, it sounds like nothing, right? It's tiny, almost insignificant. But the impact is enormous.
That 1 degree error can mean the system is off by 11 feet at a distance of about 200 meters down the road. That is literally the difference between the car seeing another vehicle in its lane and looking at the wrong lane entirely. This is why precision is everything. Your scan tool might pop up and say, hey, calibration successful. But if your environment wasn't perfect, that calibration could be dangerously wrong.
Okay, we've talked technology, opportunity, risks, and all the requirements. So now, it is time for a serious reality check for your shop.
Let's bring this all home. Is this the right move for you right now? To figure that out, let's just walk through one final checklist.
And you gotta ask yourself these questions and be honest. Do you really have a dedicated clutter-free bay that's big enough? Is your floor perfectly flat and level? Can you completely control the lighting? Are you really prepared for the big upfront investment in tools and, just as important, the constant ongoing training? And finally, is the market in your area actually ready to support this new kind of premium service? Your answers to these questions, they're going to show you the way forward.
Because you gotta make no mistake about it, the ADAS wave isn't on the horizon anymore. It's here, and it's crashing on the shore. The only question left is whether your shop is going to be prepared to ride that wave to new success or risk getting swept away by it. The choice is yours.